Hello, everybody. Today we're going to do something a little bit differently. Today I'm going to first perform the song and then we're going to go over my songwriting process. And I think after I perform it, you guys will maybe understand why I decided to do it that way. So let's see if we can knock it out. Stuck on repeat. Wonder if I'll ever break the cycle. One time's all it takes to feel complete. Trying to sleep, thoughts keep me up through the night. An old fear I still just can't fight naturally. There comes a point when all of the answers seem to tell you that you're just wrong. Cover your dreams with a blanket of nightmares and fantasies, sad memories, the only things left on my mind. They tell me that there's more to find. What a relief. Walk through the streets, faces go by in the wind, hoping the storm will soon end. Just let me concede, please. There comes a point when all of the mistakes seem to catch you when you're alone. Others pretend to have answers, but it's fantasy. I can't continue forward when the tape is finally finished up. The only options left are eject or rewind. I think I'm falling behind, coming down into the line, but I'm just sitting right here up on my own, watching old videos. I feel I'm incomplete, like I ran out of all the concrete to build the base that I need to get my feet back on the ground. I'm feeling incomplete. I think it's only what I need to help me move on from the scene, but still I'm just incomplete. I'm falling behind. I think I'm falling behind. Okay, actually messed up the lyrics a little bit, but I'm trying to do the performance type of things and kind of just power on through it. So, guess we'll get something out of the way real quick. I have not been doing too good mentally. Don't really know how that's come across in any of my videos, but it's okay. Things are going on. This month's been rough for me for a lot of reasons. Not really going to get into it. But I was trying to fall asleep about 25, 30 minutes ago. That's about how long it took me to write and get to this point. And as I was drifting off, the phrase "stuck on repeat" came into my mind, and I was like, that would be a great album title. And I was like, oh, I guess we're gonna make a song now. So I got up and I started writing things. Now, normally my narrative structure doesn't necessarily fall under everything has to rhyme, but for some reason this time around, just because of how easy it is to rhyme with repeat and things like that, I pretty much knew that this was going to be like basically an all rhyme-esque song. So I'm gonna read the lyrics out because, like I said, especially at the end, I kind of flubbed how I wanted to do them. So everything kind of just came pretty much naturally, and I think there's only 2 small edits on this. So the first words were "stuck on repeat." Wonder if I'll ever break. The cycle one time's all it takes to feel complete. So what I'm trying to do is basically set mini narratives within my verse structures so that my rhymes make sense, but they aren't necessarily forced. So then flowing into the next mini narrative, trying to sleep, thoughts keep me up through the night, still an old fear I can't fight, naturally, which is kind of true. I've had chronic insomnia for the majority of my life. And if you guys remember what I've said from a lot of my other videos, most of the songs that I tend to write about are personal experiences or things that have happened that I have experienced. So it's a very natural kind of progression that I'm going to talk about my insomnia in a song when I was literally about to fall asleep, right? So now we go to the first chorus. There comes a point where all the answers seem to all agree that you're wrong. This has kind of been going on in my head a little bit of late because of some of the problems, like I said, I've been having this month. It's kind of a lot of indicators saying that, like, hey, like everything that you're doing just isn't right, which is frustrating because I'm trying to basically restart my life. So it's a real kick in the dick when you're trying to do what is universally considered the right thing and you get punished for it. That lyric came very naturally. Right after I finished the first verse, that chorus was like already set. And then for some reason I kept saying cover into the next part. So there comes a point where all the answers seem to all agree that you're wrong. And I kept doing cover blah. I was like, cover what? And I was like, well, we're still kind of on that sleep-esque vibe, so why not kind of go over that? So I was like, cover your dreams with a blanket of nightmares and fantasies, which is basically how I sleep. I don't really have dreams. I have like pretty frequent nightmares, but I don't really consider them nightmares in the sense of like, oh God, like I have like night terrors or something like that. Just most of my dreams just aren't good. Like it's been a consistent issue for about 2 years now. It doesn't really affect my sleep. I'm able to lucid dream very often. So anytime I'm having a consistent amount of bad nightmares, I kind of just lucid dream to the next thing. But I like to let my dreams or my nightmares kind of play out because I believe in the psychological aspect of dream analysis, where it's like, hey, this is how you find out what's going on with you, and these are ways to kind of solve it. So I felt that was a real personal touch to kind of go on. And then the fantasy aspect is kind of just like where a lot of life has been kind of leading me, that like what I've been doing is really just like a fantasy. But we'll get more onto that when we continue through the verses. So after I had wrote all that, I started coming up with the melody and then the chord progression on the guitar. So I'm not really going to cover that. I think we've all kind of heard kind of the chords that I ended up choosing to do and the structure that I did for it. But that was where I took my first break. So now we go to verse 2, and obviously we're completing the rhyme with fantasy. So sad memories. I felt that was a natural progression that didn't feel forced to go into. This entire second verse is kind of just me daily. So I guess depression alert, trigger alert, however you guys want to do this. But yeah, so sad memories are the only things left on my mind. They tell me there's more left to find. What a relief. And I'm speaking very sarcastically when I say what a relief, because yeah, I've been kind of struggling to find some stuff and really just kind of on that stuck on repeat of just bad memories and a lot of mistakes that I've done recently. Well, not even recently, for like the past 3 years. So then we go through, walk through the streets, faces go on by the wind. and hoping the storm will soon end. So every time I'm kind of like going out and about and doing things now, it's like I'm not really there. It's kind of like I'm in a daze. And we've been having like a frequency of storms up until like very recently here in Chicago. So like that was just the first thing that kind of went to mind when I did that. So yeah, maybe the storm is also a metaphor. You know, any of the psychologists out there can go ahead and deconstruct this how you feel. Um, then just let me concede, please. That's just straight up like a cry for help kind of thing. Don't want to draw too much attention for that, but I think we all kind of know where the song is kind of going. So moving on to the second chorus, there comes a point when all of your mistakes seem to catch up when you're on your own. And I think that's true. I think a lot of people, especially when they're going through traumatic times or just having a cycle of depression or things like that, they tend to kind of live on this stuck on repeat mentality where no matter how much they try to progress or what kind of positive things they try to do with themselves, it ends up still kind of just being, I guess, the traumas that have happened in your life, and they just kind of go through, and it diminishes any progress that you've made. So that happens with me a lot. I have complex PTSD, among some other mental health illnesses. So it's pretty common where anytime where I'm like trying to do something and I'm alone, like boom, thoughts come flooding in. So continuing on from there, others pretend they have answers, but it's all fantasy. I've seen numerous psychologists. I've taken medication. I've done all these different things, and I like to believe that there is truth, that there is some way to help, and there's things to go forward from. But I'm gonna say something that is definitely going to be hard to hear for people who are not depressed right now. But when you are in a sort of trauma state or through a deep depression cycle, your brain literally does not process information in a traditional, normal, healthy way. So it's really important to have trained psychiatrists and counselors and therapists to interact with these people when they're at that point, because they have techniques and better ways of communicating to get those positive vibes that you're trying to get through. So when you're not one of those trained people and you're giving advice, it literally just sounds like a fantasy. Like I'm like taking drugs and on a hallucinogenic trip, because it's just so unreal that you can, get better. So, sorry, didn't mean to like get hardcore on that, but that's a thing that I think more people need to be aware of. So now we've got a kind of breakdown-esque thing. I tend to do these in songs when I know I'm gonna just kind of cycle the same chord progressions. It's to break up the monotony, yes, but it's also to kind of show a narrative break through my own thoughts as well as through my music. You know what I mean? So I'm taking everything that I just sang and, was thinking, writing down. I was like, all right, let's cut through the subtlety. Let's just kind of be open, right? And I can't continue forward when the tape has reached its end. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I feel with my life. I feel like, I'm watching a VHS tape, and we're after the credits. What other things are there? And that's why I literally kind of call attention to it by saying the only options left are eject or rewind. You eject the tape. I think we all know with YouTube's policies that I can't really get more point blank about that. But rewind is also another option, which is, kind of a tendency, right? Like we have that cliche thing about what insane people are, or what insanity is. It's just doing the same thing over and over again, expecting the same results. Well, there is a little bit of truth to that. I'm not a trained professional, so I'm not going to get into it. But with my own personal experiences, when you have something like complex PTSD, it is very easy for you to kind of just relive those traumas over and over and over and over and over and over again. So for me, it's a real personal thing to say the only options are eject and rewind. Clearly, I've not ejected. I'm doing a pretty good job of not doing that so far. But I am failing on the rewind aspect. I am very frequently going through all of my mistakes and my traumas, and I'm just kind of fucking going there. So we'll move on. And now we're getting back to the main kind of verse structure, but I add a little bit of I I'm a little behind, or I'm falling behind, whatever I ended up saying. This is where the lyrics are going to start deviating a lot now. Basically, what I'm saying is like I'm not up to where everybody else should be, right? So, spoiler alert, I'm 31. Yeah, still let the hairline fool you. And I'm not where I want to be with my life. I think most people who are 30 and are in the situations that I'm in would probably be like, "Holy shit, that is like beyond starting from zero. Like we're like fucking digging from the ground up." So, yeah, saying I'm a little behind, if I saying that, I can't even remember. I'm gonna have to rewatch the video, is definitely an understatement. People moving towards that finish line. I know I didn't say that line properly, but I kind of still got the thought across. And that's what I see. I see a lot of people who are advancing now and they're getting to where they need to be. A lot of my friend group aren't successful except one individual, and he is kind of like an example that a lot of other of my friend groups are trying to utilize. So even if they're not successful, they're still they're still moving forward and getting somewhere. And I unfortunately am not. I'm still kind of in dead last when it comes to my friend group, and even my family members who are within my age bracket as well. So now, so heads up, my handwriting is atrocious here. I mean, it's going to be reversed because we're on selfie mode, but this is chicken scratch at like best. The reason why is I don't think when I'm writing, putting pen to paper, the physical sensation helps me remember my lyrics. But that is mostly a reference thing. When I'm trying to actually read my handwriting, even I fucking struggle with it, which is complete hilarity. So moving towards that finish line, and now we're kind of using the metaphor again of just like, well, what am I doing? Why am I falling behind? Well, I'm just rewatching old home videos of things that I've done, which is, reliving the trauma memories, the traumatic experiences. And, I'm not trying to progress. I'm kind of just okay with being indoors, sitting old home videos on repeat. All right. Kind of acknowledging the flaw. So then I'm just coming out right and saying it. I'm incomplete. Something is just not put together. Something is not all there. So drawing attention to it is hopefully going to make me start to think about it. This isn't something I hide from. I definitely felt this way for a very long time in my life, and I'm still trying to figure out what the piece is. I don't know. Music is a very good therapeutic thing to help me with that, and I think through writing songs like this and being open about them and talking about not only these songs but my narrative, my writing process, I think is something that's a core to my being. So in a way I feel incomplete, but yet with me doing this video and performing the song and now talking about it, I feel more complete. So perhaps this is a therapy for more of myself than it is entertainment for you guys. We'll see. Now we're going to get to the part where things maybe feel a little bit forced. There's no concrete left for me to build the base that I'm starting to need to stand on my own 2 feet. That whole line I definitely botched, but I tried to get the theme. I actually wanted to use concrete a lot earlier, and I couldn't think of a natural narrative way to do it. But I felt continuing on through the thread, I'm incomplete. I have no concrete left for me to build the base that I'm starting to need to stand on my own 2 feet. I think that plays a lot to my personality of just like, yeah, it does feel cheap that I'm like using such, shoddy language to convey an idea. But I think at the same time, it actually really makes a lot of sense, right? Like I've got no idea what I should be doing to restart my life and get on a path that I need to be. And I have no more resources, all my friends, all my family, they've done everything they can for me, but in the end, it's still me who needs to make that decision. And when you have to pull yourself up to stand on your own 2 feet, it's really hard when you have nothing to do it and help you with. So then I should be rephrasing that I'm incomplete. I didn't have any other lyrics past that. So whatever I had sang was completely on the spot. So yeah, all of the song took about 23 minutes to write the lyrics and go over through most of the guitar work, and then the rest of like the 20 minutes or so was me going through the lyrics, putting it all together, trying to work out that intro a little bit, which isn't the intro that I wanted to go with, but I was kind of just improvising, hoping it would go through. And then, actually, I didn't nail this on the first take like I was fucking hoping. I got almost halfway through and realized, even though I was doing okay, I was flubbing the lyrics too much. And I was like, no, when I go back and I reference this, everyone's going to be like, this isn't what you fucking said at all. So it actually took me 3 attempts to get this, which is ironic because 3 isn't really like a lucky number, but it's like a thing with me, like the power of threes, right? Like you can Google that shit and you'll see that there's some benefits to it. So if you sat through all this, thank you very much. I'm going to just quickly wrap up everything. So again, this is part of the series of me just expressing what my songwriting process is like and hopefully inspiring other individuals to either share theirs or give them some tips, tricks, and tools of the trade of what you could be doing to utilize your own creative process for your songwriting. So, this is definitely a deeper, darker song. And to be honest, if I was talent scout for a couple of years, right? So hearing this song, this is definitely album filler to me. Right. I'm not putting myself down. I'm not really that harsh of a critic on myself anymore. I'm pretty factual. I sang it the way that I did with that softness because I feel like this is almost like a lullaby that like comes to you when you're falling asleep, which kind of keeps with the theme of, where the idea of the song came from and like even referencing some of the lyrics itself. But I felt it was really important. Like, I feel like this is something that I would be singing to a younger version of myself, referencing another aspect of the lyrics. I'm watching old home videos. I'm thinking about my childhood. A lot of the songs that I've been writing of late are kind of about my childhood and analyzing it. And it's very interesting because a lot of my childhood I did not enjoy. And we'll just kind of leave it at that. But I think now when you're starting to get better as a person, it's very common for you to go back and look at how you got to where you are today, right? So it's a natural progression that a lot of songs that I'm currently writing, so the last 4 songs that I wrote, have been either directly inspired by my childhood or are me reflecting currently as I am on how I was as a kid. So who knows? I think I'm going to actually build an entire album around that. And I have an album title and a whole theme, but we'll see. We'll see how that gets there. But yeah, that's everything. Even if you guys just only stayed for the performance aspect, I really appreciate it. But if you got all the way to this point, don't worry about me. Don't feel you need to reach out to me or, do anything drastic. I'm not okay, and I haven't been for a long time, and I can assure you nothing that you do or try will help me in the long run. This is a personal journey that I got to do, and I got to, I got to find the strength to do it. And I'm getting there, slowly and surely, through proper channels. So this is potentially one of them. And if you witnessed everything and didn't cringe the whole way and felt very open-minded, positive about it, share your personal experiences that you feel comfortable with when you're songwriting and some of the personal experiences that you utilize and what your creative process is when they're really dark stuff like this. I would love to hear that. That's the best way that you guys can help me, just by having a bit of a discussion on your songwriting process, especially when it covers really deep and dark topics like this and what you're trying to present through your music. Thank you all very much. You have yourself a good night, and I'm going to try to go to sleep now. That's 3 a.m.